Hey guys, so I've just been watching, today is August 31st, day before the series launches, and I've just seen a clip of Joe Rogan interviewing George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. So Jeremy Corbell is the guy who's been making a lot of good UFO documentaries. He did the Bob Lazar documentary. I can't think what it's called, but it's Bob Lazar. Like, Bob Lazar is the guy that made Area 51 famous because he was working at the base near Area 51 known as S4, and he claims, and I believe he's probably telling the truth in my humble opinion, that he was working on like extraterrestrial craft that had been, like, probably one of them was from the Roswell crash, and he was in charge of trying to reverse engineer the propulsion system. And he talks all about this element 115 was the propulsion system, which I believe was undiscovered at the time, but since then scientists have discovered there is an element 115, so that corroborates a part of his story at least. And George Knapp is the reporter, the journalist who originally broke the Bob Lazar story many, many years ago. Like, Bob Lazar, I don't know how many years ago it was exactly, but it's only like 20 years ago. Bob Lazar came forward and started telling this story. Then he got so much hassle that he disappeared from the internet because he'd had enough of people harassing him, so he stopped telling the story. But then Jeremy Corbell, many years later, managed to convince him to come forward again and do a full story on the documentary. And George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell are both very legitimate, and interestingly they've been taking part in the Congress hearings, and that's what they've been talking about. They were, if you watch the Congress hearings with Commander David Fravor, who was the one who was the commander in charge of the battle cruiser, is that the name of it? Something like that. The battle cruiser, that aircraft carrier, same thing in it, I don't know. No, I think it's a bit different, but who knows. But Commander David Fravor was the captain or the commander in charge of the aircraft carrier that was responsible for having the pilots that captured the footage of the Tic Tac UFO. And so there was also David Grush, who was the guy who's recently been all over the news on YouTube talking about how he knows for a fact that the government have been reverse engineering UFOs and they've got captured beings. And he was also talking in front of Congress. So you had David Grush, Commander Fravor, some other guy who's reporting on how him and his pilots have been seeing all these UFOs, like circular objects with cubes in the middle. And they were all giving testimony in front of Congress as this new awesome thing that's happening, where Congress are listening to information from whistleblowers about UFOs, partly orchestrated by Dr. Stephen Greer in the background, as I understand. And so when these hearings were being given, like Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp were both sat in the background just behind them as they were giving testimony. Apparently they were both actually going to give testimony as well, but they thought, like, why would we bother? Like, we think, like, it's not worth you giving testimony because we might as well just have the military personnel who experienced it directly, and they agreed, so they didn't give testimony in the end. But they were basically saying like some real amazing stuff. It's just, the reason I'm sharing this is it just feels like we are on the verge of disclosure. Like, it's literally about to happen. We are on the verge of open contact. It is undoubtable. It is now happening. Like, this is it happening. And they were sharing how this David Grush, this guy who's saying that the government have been reverse engineering UFOs, he apparently, the team behind Congress, there's a lot of high ranking intelligence agency officials who are kind of vetting everything that they're saying. And David Grush was saying, I've got a lot of evidence, but I can't say this in public without breaking my security oath, so we've got to talk about it behind closed doors. And all these top military intelligence officials basically interviewed, I think they were saying in the Joe Rogan interview, I'll try and remember to drop the clip at the end, in the link in the text box below to the Joe Rogan interview. I think they were saying that these intelligence officials actually, David Grush was saying, I've got I know 40 people who have all had worked on these black budget programs and have got information that proves this is correct. And apparently the intelligence committee that's working with Congress interviewed all these guys behind closed doors because they couldn't do it officially because it breaks security oaths, and they come to the conclusion that David Grush was legitimate and this isn't something urgent urgent and needs to be looked into. So this is kind of like pretty much almost a smoking gun, all this information that's coming out now. And so yes, so it's just becoming very clear to me that we are like on the verge of contact. It is literally happening. We are on the verge of open contact, on the verge of first contact. It is really happening now, guys. Like 100%. Like all this stuff. This is it happening. Like this is disclosure. This is open contact. It is happening. Like I've been speaking about 2023 for a long time. Well, for at least a year. Last year when I was in Peru, I was making a lot of videos about 2023, how I believe it's the year when we can potentially make open contact. And we are literally on the precipice of it occurring. It is, you know, and I did get a lot of this information initially from Bashar, and later I found that Bashar was actually saying, because I don't watch Bashar that much these days. I used to be really into him. I used to watch him every day, like years ago. But I'm not that much into. I just don't watch him so much now, because like I channel myself, and it kind of like I don't like to like get my mind too much wrapped around it. But like Bashar was the guy that Bashar, channeled by Davalanka, was the original guy that gave 2023, that's where I first heard it from, as a potential time for open contact, where we know globally that extraterrestrials are real and they're visiting us, and then the ETs can come more freely because it's officially open and all in the public domain, and it can be like public discussed. So this is the idea of open contact, when the governments and like I think what Bashar calls it, open contact, is when everyone on the planet, or pretty much everyone on the planet, knows that we are not alone and we are being visited by extraterrestrials. And certainly the vast majority of them are benevolent and they're here to assist us. So this is what we're all moving towards at present. And I got this year, but now I heard like Bashar saying like it's just a window, like 2023 to 2033. But like Bashar changes like what he says all the times, and like partly it's to do with the energy and the shifting energies and the shifting timelines. But I think also like don't trust these guys. Don't trust the ETs too much. I don't mean that in a suspicious, like, the negative way. I mean it in they're kind of a little bit tricky. Like I sense like there's this idea that our higher self, like in shamanic culture, the higher self, our higher consciousness, our own higher self, is also represented as a coyote. Is often represented as a coyote, because the coyote is the trickster and the higher self is the trickster. It's like our higher self is always tricking us, like all the time. Like that's what our higher self does. Like we think we're going one way to do a certain thing, like, and like you know, we think we're going on vacation to just put our feet up and have the time of our lives, but really like our higher self has got like a complete initiation plan for us, you know, like I don't know, we get stranded in an airport for 2 weeks, and that's happening to other people at the moment. Like this is the kind of thing, this is the higher self, tricking them. Like they thought they were going on a vacation, but that higher self wants to give them an opportunity to process deep stuff, to raise their frequency, raise their consciousness. And you know, what better time to go inwards and think about, reassess your life when you're stuck in an airport for 2 weeks. You know, God bless their hearts. So like I wouldn't like to be stuck in that situation, but like a higher self finds it fun because that's how we evolve. And so the higher self is the trickster, and it's kind of like the ETs, like a very kind of, in a way, like our higher selves. Like I can't really explain this and put it in words, certainly not in this short video, but it's almost like the ETs are our higher selves, because in a sense our higher self is everything. Like our higher self is our entire reality, and it's all a reflection of us from a higher dimension. And so in a sense the ETs are our own higher self, like manifesting and saying, ha, we're just you, ha, it's all funny, it's all a big joke, you're going to die, and when you die you go back into bliss and unity consciousness, and you're worrying about being dead when it's a million times more exciting being dead than being alive. We're your higher self, welcome to reality. It's kind of how the higher self and the ETs think. So yes, so I wouldn't put it past like Bashar. Like I'm not saying Bashar's a liar. Like that sort of sounded terrible to say, but like I'm not saying Bashar's like a trickster. Like I don't want to, you know. But well, I guess I am actually. But it's kind of like that, you know. I wouldn't put it past the ETs to, like, you know, tell us a few minor inconsistencies, in untruths, if they believed it was going to have our best benefits in heart and accelerate open contact. And of course they're aware that all the governments and all the intelligence agencies and like all these, you know, black budget programs and are listening to the channelings and like trying to like subvert it and like trying to like keep it covered up. So they're obviously like tricking them guys, because you know if anyone needs to be tricked, it's them. And so So yes, so maybe they're not just showing. But the point is, like maybe it's going to happen a lot faster than we realize. Maybe this is it. Maybe we're all Bashar's all saying, "Oh, open contact could happen in 2027," and I'm getting challenged say perhaps 2027, 2028, and they're all planning on turning up like October the 10th, 2023. It was all a big trick because they don't want to have military jets all interfering when open contact happens. They're not going to tell everyone on Earth when they're going to come, really, are they? Like given all the crazy people with fighter jets that fly around, like every time I have a sighting, a military jet like flies out with full afterburners on and like chases the UFOs out the sky. Incidentally, which like I've been making all these videos talking about this and about how the military jets like keep turning up with like full afterburners on and stuff like this, and it happened like I just saw on the news like there was a big like bang in the sky that was heard over 3 counties like just last night, and it was on the news, and they said apparently it was a Typhoon, Eurofighter Typhoon, that was scrambled from Coningsby, which is just over there. I know it's maybe like not much more than, I don't know, maybe 15 miles as the crow flies, something like that. And I believe this is where the fighter jets were scrambled from, that came probably most likely due to the synchronicity that I experienced afterwards. Like I kept seeing in the sky all the time afterwards, and it was the Eurofighter Typhoons which were stationed at Coningsby. So I think they were the fighter jets that got scrambled when I had my missing time experience in the forest at Chambers Farm Wood, about 10 miles that way, not far from Coningsby, basically right next to the most advanced fighter jets in our country, and they were the jets that got scrambled. Possibly also like the Tornadoes from the other base at RAF Marham Le Fen. Some synchronicity and some science pointed me to this information. I won't go into that tangent now. Basically, or maybe I will. Like basically, like I kept seeing like in the days after I had my contact experience in 2018. Like I kept like syncing up, like synchronicity. It was like I was magnetically attracted to these fighter jets that got scrambled to my location in Chambers Farm Wood. I had like this missing time experience. I've not really told this story, but I'm gonna share the video about it, like because the Yahyel actually showed up on live stream like 12 days later in the sky just up there, and I'm going to share that video and like give a bit of commentary on what's happening. So yeah, so I'll just let this person walk past while I carry on talking. So and so yeah, so in 2000, so where do I go with this? Yeah, just quickly, I finish off the other story, I guess. Like it was on the news yesterday. There was a sonic boom. Basically, when a fighter jet breaks the sound barrier, it makes a sonic boom, and it's heard across 3 counties. Last night, and I just saw this on the news, and because I'm staying with my mum. My mum watches the news because I was recommending my spiritual classes that people don't watch the news. So I was putting that out there to my students. I'm thinking, you say don't watch the news. What are you talking about watching the news? And like so I'm staying with my mum. My mum watches the news, so I happen to see things synchronistically that I need to see. And yeah, and this fighter jet was apparently scrambled from RAF Coningsby last night on, basically said on some like emergency call out. I can't remember the exact words they used on the news, like some I can't like urgent mission or something. I mean, what urgent mission? Like in Lincolnshire, there is a lot of military activity going on today. Actually, a lot of military activity, and so let's hope it's the UFOs they were scrambled for, and so yeah, and yeah, and that's what it was. Like this was what this sonic boom was last night. So it must have been like August the 3rd, the full moon night. Interesting, full moon night, very likely. Because if you notice on my video, I'm going to share this upcoming. It's going to be probably like video 32, where I'm going to re-show my video of where I had the contact experience with the Yahyel right around here, and they showed up on the Facebook live stream. And that was a full moon night. You'll notice like I'm videoing the full moon all the time. And interestingly, I think I've seen more sightings, and another sighting said, oh, there's a satellite, and I think it was them because they came across the sky along there, and then this satellite went up there, and then they were over there. So I think I've seen more video of them. But anyway, that's coming up on video 32, day 32. And so yeah, so I'm wondering, because I had a contact experience like the day, if you look at video 31, I talk about I had a contact experience. So you probably haven't seen video 31 yet, but I had a contact experience with what I believe was a female extraterrestrial, possibly a Pleiadian female extraterrestrial that manifested like astrally, like interdimensionally in my room, and I felt like a real powerful energy of unconditional love. So I really felt like the ETs have been around the last couple of days, and yeah, so it's just interesting. I saw this like video about the fighter jet being scrambled, and so yeah, so oh yeah, I was going to divert into my story. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'm thinking of doing a Freedom of Information Act request on that about this story that I'm about to tell. I guess it's coming out now. I think I'm going to do a Freedom of Information Act request to the Royal Air Force and ask them if they can disclose the information they have on record about the fighter jets they scrambled to Chambers Farm Woods whilst I was having an ET contact experience on September the 11th, 2018. How could I forget that date? September the 11th, 9/11. And so yeah, so it was 9/11, 2018. I'd gone to the forest to Chambers Farm Woods. I decided to scrap work. I think it was Tuesday morning, something like this. 9 a.m. according to my video. I was just watching about it. And because my memory is not so great these days. I mean, whose is? Like anyway, let's not talk about memory. I'm going off on too many tangents, but it was September the 11th, 2018, 9 a.m. I decided to go to Chambers Farm Woods to make some videos about 9/11 actually. I just think like I was still talking about conspiracy, like negative conspiracy stuff, like only 5 years ago, because I don't focus on that now, because I know we create our own reality. So why focus on like those kind of dark timelines and create more of that? Not necessary. So yeah, and I was smoking a little bit of marijuana in the forest, which I have done on both these major contact experiences. I don't know why, like it opens up my consciousness. I don't know why. It definitely raises my frequency. If I just smoke like marijuana very rarely, or just like a little bit very rarely, I'll have a massive awakening into my higher self when I smoke it, and that's why it gets very addictive. That's why I tend not to smoke it, because then I don't want to go back there. Like I don't want to come to Earth, because you go into bliss and like the higher self. And so I presume to varying degrees, this is what a lot of people experience on cannabis, and this is why a lot of people get hooked on cannabis, because it's a lot more fun being in your higher self than on Earth. But that's not what we're supposed to do. It's a trap as well. That's when you end up becoming very polarized and having very, very big highs and very big lows. So we need to stay grounded and like not be fearful of diving into the shadow and transforming it and raising it up slowly. And so yeah, and the next thing I know, I'm having this experience, I'm having this energetic experience that I recognize from my 2009 contact experience, which only happened once, like 9 years earlier. I instantly recognize it, where there's this profound energy of like, I don't know, bliss, joy, the life force of the universe flooding through my veins. There's the most amazing feeling I've ever felt in my life. I almost felt it a little bit just then. It's the only 2 times I've experienced it, but I got a glimpse of it just then when I said it. And like everything becomes more colourful, green things become more green. Some people describe it as like it's shifting into HD, like everything looks like high definition, like reality. I just say it's more colourful, more vibrant. You feel like kind of like just in heaven, like it's like an ecstatic feeling. There are no words to explain this in my vocabulary. Maybe there are some words in Sanskrit somewhere. Maybe I can invent a new word. but it's the most amazing feeling, and I recognized it. And then I start getting these downloads. I feel like I'm downloading kung fu, like Neo in the Matrix. I talked about this before. Since then I can download like martial arts moves, like out of I don't know, the Akashic records, Intelligent Infinity, the conscious matrix that binds our reality. Like infinite information is all available all the time to us. It's what we're starting to awaken to. And I still ponder with the idea of like doing martial arts training so I can actually use these moves properly rather than just looking ridiculous like trying to do them on camera. And then I start to see reality multidimensionally. I can see all like parallel timelines in front of me, like in my mind's eye, but it's almost like I'm seeing them very clearly in front of me. And I see like multiple parallel timelines, like there's 5 or 7 like TV screens in front of me, and like depending on which actions I take on the day and what I focus upon vibrationally during the day or in that moment is where I end up during the day. And next thing I know, so at this point it's like it's dead silent. It's dead silent in the forest. It's like Monday, Tuesday morning, something like that. I think it was Tuesday morning, was it? I don't know. It was this September the 11th, 2018. We can look it up. And it was a weekday morning around 9 a.m. and it was dead silent, and like I'm looking in this bush having like this multi-dimensional awakening experience, feeling like heaven. And the next thing I know, the lighting's all changed. Before it was kind of dark looking in this bush. The next thing I know, the sun's kind of shining in my face. I'm stood in a prone position, dead upright. You know, normally I was kind of like slouched down in a normal human bad posture position. Now I'm like perfectly like erect upright and like kind of a prone position with my arms out by my sides. The lighting's changed. It's shining in my face. The sun's shining in my face. And there's all these fighter jets flying around my head. Like an instant before they weren't there and I was in a different place in the forest. I'm now fairly sure I was in a completely different place. I felt like I just turned around, like and I was facing the other way, just like I felt like I was just a few yards away. But then I popped out on the other side of the path, so I'm fairly certain I must have been like a quarter of a mile away or something from the original location. Maybe a little bit less, I'm not sure. And there's all these fighter jets flying around my head. And so I know they're there because of me. I know something very profound has happened to me. And I know that's why all the fighter jets are there. Then after a few moments, it dawns on me, you know, I probably had a contact experience, you know, because I've been talking about this for a long time by then. And I'm half expecting to see something now, guys. So when I see that plane up there, I don't know if you can see it in the sky, I'm like, lights, lights, lights. So I'm getting so inured in that extraterrestrial energy, and like seeing these videos of like fighter jets and talking about it so much, having like the astral contact experience the other night. I feel they're going to show up soon. I haven't really had that. I haven't had any sightings since I've been back in the UK. I was getting a lot in Peru. I was seeing them every like couple of months really when I was in Peru. Maybe not, sometimes more regularly at some phases, sometimes less regularly, but certainly the last few months I was there, I saw them a few times. And I haven't had any craft sightings since I've been back in the UK. And so that's an aeroplane. And yeah, and so I know that I need to dominate the situation vibrationally. So I raise my frequency as high as I can by singing pop songs at the top of my voice to dominate the situation vibrationally, show the fighter jets that I'm not scared, show myself that I'm not scared, and also make the dog walkers, I know there's going to be dog walkers in the area, it's the morning time, I want to make them aware, because then I'll feel safer if I know that the dog walkers are aware there's something coming on. Like the military can't send in like drop ships and like people down on ropes to come and get me, like some of these paranoias came up. And I began to and so that was basically it for the experience. But about there's more to it, like the vibration. I was one with everything around me in this experience. I could feel my vibration in the fighter jets and in the trees. It was really insane. It was so high frequency, it was completely unbelievable. And a week later I began to recall the experience in meditation, and then they showed up on a Facebook live stream.